Thank you for staying with us. We still have our panelists with us in the studio, but just to continue this conversation, let me come to you, Henry. You know, just before we left, you were talking about how who the only people who have protection in this country are herdsmen. But let me just bring your attention to a tweet by Henry Okelue some days back, and he says Nigeria is at war, and we seem not to be sure who this other enemy is. Definitely not your everyday herdsmen. We might need more people in the army at this rate because our soldiers are already stretched fighting the old enemy, Boko Haram. So, I mean, do you think that exactly is the problem? It's not actually the everyday herdsmen that are, I beg your pardon, perpetrating these killings that you're talking about.
Let me say it clearly again. President Buhari is not sincere about giving Nigerians security. Let's not play politics with this. There is no, these are human lives we're talking about. 2 days ago, on Wednesday, Amnesty International wrote in public how they gave information and notice to the Nigerian military, telling them that a certain village was about to be attacked. What did the military do? There was no security agency that responded to that call. Amnesty is not PDP. Amnesty is not Igbo. Amnesty is not Yoruba. Amnesty does not know your tribe. Amnesty International is an international organization after the well-being of individuals in the areas where they operate. So we should go beyond TV engagement. We should actually be asking President Buhari, do we mean anything to you? Do the lives of Nigerians mean anything to you?
I'll have to come back to you in a bit, but Boamia, let me just also bring you, into the conversation. I mean, if you look at what Henry is saying, he's saying a lot hasn't been done. I mean, but let's also look at the fact that, I mean, like I made mention of those establishments being made by the presidency, you know, to see that lives and property is being safeguarded. I mean, do you think that is not enough?
Well, first and foremost, I wanted to correct Henry. Henry did say President Buhari appointed the service chiefs. He appointed his kinsmen as the service chiefs. First and foremost, the chief of defense staff is from South-South. The chief of naval staff is from Southwest. The chief of the national security advisor is a Kanuri man from Borno. The chief of army staff is Buratai from Borno. The chief of air staff is from Bauchi. I'm not sure if he's Fulani, but that is the only person I can say I'm not sure if he's Fulani or not, but the rest are not Fulani. A lot is being done to address these issues, like a security formation, like Fusion Center, where intelligence gathering and sharing among our security agencies will take place to curb and address the issue of Boko Haram using our underage children and most especially girls as suicide bombers. Of course, we would like to see the president do more, you understand, but it's absurd for you to come out to say he's not doing enough.
Coming back to the fact that whether the president has done enough or not, I mean, with messages like this and, you know, moves like this, what do you think?
Most importantly, there are things we've not mentioned on this program, which is the seeming rivalry which we've received from reports between the security agencies. Reports are suggesting that they are not sharing sufficient intelligence among themselves. The police is in charge of internal security in the country, and it appears they are helpless in many of the circumstances. Southern Kaduna, in Taraba, in Ekiti, in Oyo, in Benue State, in Adamawa State, in many states of the Federation. And most times the army is drafted in. The army is supposed to protect the integrity and sovereignty of the country. With the DSS and the Navy and all the other ones who are drafted in from time to time.
All right.
They are not sharing intelligence amongst them, which is one of the problems we talked about, perception. So when you say whether or not the presidency or the leadership has done well, you see, the citizens must have a feel. I'd love you to give me time to give you a local example. In Akwa Ibom State here, for many months in the early parts of the year, there was pockets of disturbances across the state. Many local government areas were taken over by killers who were maiming people. The governor came forward and made a prohibition order and signed it into law, outlawing all the call groups. He mentioned each of the call groups by name and said, look, we have the criminal code, but we are outlawing these call groups. And he sat down with the chiefs here, and he sat down with the commissioner of police, sat down with the entire security apparatus, and they figured that out. The ringleader called Iso Buffett was killed. His second was killed. They were rounded up. Pockets of call groups here were contained completely.
Well, I'm afraid we're finding it difficult to hear you. I think your internet is putting us under, this conversation that we're having at the moment. But I would have to say that thank you for joining us on the program. And Ekeme Finba, he joined us from Uyo, that's in Akwa Ibom State, as well as Moamia Yusuf, who joined us from Mina in Niger State. Thank you as well for joining us on the program, as well as Henry Waz-Rahu, who joins us from Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. Thanks to you all for joining us on the program. But
thank you very much, Victor. It was our pleasure.
You're all welcome. But let me just come back to you now quickly to wrap up this conversation. He talked about perception. He talked about body language. He talked about, implementing policies that will bring these killings to an end. How do you respond to that?
For me, much more than perception, I think I care about the truth. A lot of your guests this afternoon have spoken things that are untrue, that are not based on facts and figures. Someone mentioned the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari appointed all of his kinsmen. Of course, that's a lie. 3 of the 6 service chiefs are from the south.
Let's just
all of those
perception.
Yes.
Implementing policies and all of that. I think Moamia has actually talked about the service chiefs and all of that. So let's just look at that in wrapping up.
Yeah, in the area of perception, I think the media has a lot of work to do. You guys shape narrative and
the narrative the media will shape is the narrative it gets, or it's based on what is being done.
Yes, and what is being done in Nigeria today. Someone mentioned again the other time that there is no synergy. I watched on Channels TV yesterday, Nigerian police force and the Nigerian army, they had a joint operation and they killed some alleged, no, they didn't even call them herdsmen, they called them militia men. They killed them in Benue, and a lot of weapons was also recovered. So the truth is, the government is working to secure the lives and property of Nigerians in this country. The APC government of President Muhammadu Buhari is doing all that is in its best, to guide the lives and property of Nigerians. I know that it may be tough. Security is something that is quite challenging, but they are working to solve these issues. That is the narrative and perspective Nigerians should hold on to.
Well, thank you for joining us on the program. Let's hope that narrative and perspective will, at the tail end, result to an end to all the killings and security threats in the country. Yes. Well, that's where we are. We'll take a break and I'll be back with the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel. But we'd also like to remind you that the views expressed here is not in any way that of Channels TV, but that of those who expressed it. Please stay with us.
Well,
the 5th most watched video of the week is a reaction to the meeting between President Buhari and President Trump at the White House. The video is of Mr. Ruben Abati criticizing President Buhari's speech at the meeting. The video of Senator Dino Melaye, hospitalized after he allegedly jumped out of a police van on the way to Lokoja from the Federal Capital Territory, also made it to the list.
You ask funny questions and I answer you.
Governor Ayo Fayose of Ekiti State made it to the list with a statement that those who were waiting for him after office will wait in vain. He said this on Channels Television Sunday Politics.
That those waiting for me will wait in vain.
The second most watched video for the week was from Channels Television Roadmap 2019. The program featured former head of state Ibrahim Babangida, where he talked about the annulment of the 1993 election, which also involved the late MK Abiola. He also talked about the insecurity in the country. And the most watched video is the meeting between President Buhari and President Trump, where they discussed security, the purchase of 12 Tucano jets, and governance. And President Buhari told President Trump that herdsmen don't carry weapons.
Oh, there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. And as the general elections draw nearer, Nigerians will be hoping that any threat to Nigeria's security and unity will be nipped in the bud to avoid any postponement of the elections, as was the case in 2015. And we wrap it up on this note, but as always, continue on social media addresses showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Bye for now.